The story of football at Marshwood High School near the end. Saturday, November 8th, 1986, on a neutral field in Portland. For the players and fans from Stearns High School in Millinocket, the cold and rain were only the first disappointments of the day. For most of 48 minutes, the powerful Minutemen battled the equally tough Hawks. Coach Wotton's team made its reputation running the ball, but today, late in the first half, the game is decided by a pass. Flynn to Robillard, and the season is complete.
Fourth straight Class C championship, 8-0 over the Stearns Minutemen.
Fourth straight state championship. Was this the toughest one yet?
Yeah, it was. The elements didn't let us play football today. Either team. We played great defense again. Great defense.
This is the stuff that state championship games are made out of. Two outstanding teams battling each other and battling the elements. But for the Marshwood Hawks, the streak continues. At Deering Memorial Stadium in Portland, Bruce Glazier, News Center.
In 1966, the doors of Marshwood High School opened for the first time to students from Elliott and South Berwick. About 30 young men came out to play Class D football for Coach Rodney Wotton, the former South Berwick coach. Earlier in his career as an assistant coach fresh out of UNH, Wotton showed the early signs of a unique coaching style.
In a week, I think Wednesdays, he'd put the pads on and he'd come out and play quarterback. And of course, it was a big game to gang up on the coach. That was the fun we had, beat up on Wotton. And we got him a few times. He was pretty fast, but we caught him a few times.
To Wotton fell the task of molding one team where there had been two. He had closed his career as South Berwick head coach with a 5-2-1 record. Ironically, so did the Elliott team. From the beginning, the home opener against Bridgeton High School, it was obvious that the whole was greater than the sum of its parts. In that first season, 5 shutouts, including a 25-0 blitz of York, a victory that broke a 29-game win streak, and this 20-13 victory over Class B Kennebunk.
I've been lucky, I guess. I think one of the reasons why, the first year of the school, we went undefeated. And if we'd been 0-8, I probably wouldn't be here now. But I was lucky we weren't. We had good talent. We played a rather weak schedule, and we beat on everybody. And it's been uphill, downhill, or whatever way you want to put it from then.
The magic of the Wotton dynasty had begun. Since that first season 20 years ago, every August is a new beginning for Marshwood football. Summer vacation, it seems, just gets started when it's time for summer practice. Sweat, shoulder pads, double sessions, and sprints. 33 kids in 1966, and in 1986, more than 70.
Yesterday there wasn't much enthusiasm. Not everyone was counting. Everyone counts, you build up your lungs. Let's go.
10 jacks, you guys ready? Ready! Begin. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2.
I get along with them in school. I think I'm very friendly. They respect me, and they want to play football. And they have a sense of pride in football. They want to be a part of what's been a good tradition. Some of these kids shouldn't be out. Some of these kids are not even anything to do with athletics. But football is a sport you don't need to be a good athlete. Well, I think it takes less of a skill level. You haven't got to... Some kids never have to touch the football. You know, they don't have to be able to catch. If they can be aggressive, you know, have a little bit of intestinal fortitude, learn their rules, and go out and be aggressive and do it, they can become a football player.
Wotton has seen enough great athletes to know what the ideal high school football player is like.
About 5'11", 185 to 190, and a little bit crazy. You know, no respect for his body. I think that is a football player. You have no respect for your body. You have no fear about getting hurt. And you love the thud. You love the contact.
The 1986 home opener against Trape attracted many who remember the passion of the Marshwood-Trape rivalry. The season-ending Trape game was always the biggest game of the year, no matter what championship or win streak was or was not on the line. Bonfires, parades, huge crowds lining the fields marked an occasion that changed, most feel for the worst, in 1977 when the schedule began to revolve from year to year. In this game, a Scontress running the Trape offense, while a McIntyre anchored the Hawk line, may have given some fans a sense of deja vu. The Hawk-Ranger rivalry heated up at their first meeting in 1967. Marshwood had a 10-game, unbeaten, untied streak in its first Class B season. This blurred but historic game film shows Trape playing the spoiler for the first time, dueling Marshwood to a 0-0 tie. For the most part, though, Trape, like most other teams, has been unable to stop the basic Marshwood attack.
The run is, you got to have a line up front that blocks, and you got kids believe in what you're running. And our kids believe in what we're running, because it's worked. But you run off tackle, you run a straight dive, and that's football. But just do it and do it right. No, don't do it half-assed. Our kids believe in what they're doing. Or we make them believe that we can do it no matter what we face. And we make kids on the defensive line think that they can shut every play down the other team's got.
Wotton's high standards and ideals are reflected in everything he does and in the demands he makes on his players.
Okay, offense. Ready in. Lineman, not back. Lineman.
Rod has very high standards. I have seen games in which his team has won 40-6, 35-0, and yet Rod has, has very rarely been satisfied in games like that. I mean, I have overheard him blasting the team at halftime when they had been up by 3 or 4 touchdowns. I don't think Rod is ever going to sacrifice his standards just because his team is playing one that's not anywhere near as good. I mean, I think if an 8-0 team like Marshwood is playing an 0-8 team, Rod does not want anyone to let up at all, and if anyone does, they're going to hear about it.
Hey, cheap shots, just let the ref know. Johnny, Flynn, keep your head. That was close. That was close.
Ask any Hawk football player to name the driving force behind their performance, and most will answer Coach Wotton. They know and appreciate that he cares and respects each of his players.
It's the desire, it's how you execute, and it's coaching. I mean, when I played football, yeah, you're playing for yourself, you're playing for the school, but we were playing for Rod Wotton as a coach. He just knew how to get you out there and motivate you and get you fired up to play the game. There's no doubt about it. You went out there to knock heads because you were out there to do good for him, and of course, as I said, for yourself and for the school. But he was the motivator, and I still think he is. I watch him out there going up and down the sidelines, talking to kids when they're coming in and off the field, talking to them on the sidelines. You know, he's right with them the whole way, and they play for him just as hard today as we played for him back 15 years ago. It's been 15 years since I played football.
It's no surprise to those that know him that Wotton's concern for his players and his students continues off the playing field.
Marshwood is not unlike other schools in this country, and we had a couple of youngsters who had become involved in substance abuse and were in fact addicted. And it was clear that these boys really needed to go through a rehabilitation program and get some help. And several of us had talked with them and really weren't very successful in convincing them that they should get this help and seek this help and go through a rehabilitation program. Rod spent some time with them. In fact, in one instance, he and the young man went out and sat in Rod's car. And after about 45 minutes or so, the young man agreed that yes, he would enter a rehabilitation program to try and cure his addiction.
Wotton relies on many different methods to motivate his players, getting the best out of them in any situation.
If I get that piece of grass, get it next time. Run it back! Pop, Jake, give me 25. What did I tell you? I said put it in his pocket. Go!
When I was a junior in high school, Wotton was on my case to get a haircut, and I didn't want to get a haircut because the class pictures were coming up, so I didn't get a haircut, and he told me for 3 weeks to get a haircut, and he said, I think the third or fourth game was York, and he says, if you don't have a haircut by Saturday, you're not playing. So I walk in, you know, don't have a haircut. Saturday morning, I walk in, no haircut. And he says, all right, Williams, you're not playing. Go sit down. Don't even bother suiting up. And I says, oh, come on, you're not serious. He says, yes, I am. I says, well, what if you cut my hair? He says, okay. So he got me in the coach's office, got the team, called the whole team over to look in, got out the old tape scissors, they're really good ones, and he just cut it right off. Just took them and cut it right off, cut the bangs right off. If you want to see a good picture, just look at 1974 yearbook and look at the juniors and see the old Dave Williams. He had a great haircut during that picture.
Up at Kenny Bunk, they were getting beat pretty bad at halftime. They hadn't scored any points, and Wotton didn't show in the locker room at halftime. Just before they went out for the second half, he walked in and goes, oh, excuse me, ladies, wrong locker room. Turned around and walked out.
Marshwood football teams have won many exciting victories in 21 years. By popular acclaim, though, the best was the 1974 Marshwood Trape game.
Probably the biggest one I remember is the 21-0 we were behind at Trape and came back to win 38-27, and I can tell you in detail about that one.
They were beating us at halftime 14-0. They came out, we had to kick off.
Wotton told our kicker to kick it away from this Chris Contras from Trape. Kicked it right to him and broke it 80 yards for a touchdown. 21-0. Really in a bind now.
I think when we scored the first touchdown, I remember scoring the first touchdown and we're running back to the sideline. Me and Peter Lambert were running side by side, and when we scored that first touchdown, I guess it was just a big letdown for Trape because we were running back and 2 Trape kids were walking up the field and we went running by them, and you know, it's 21-8 now, and they're going, that's the game now, you know.
We got the ball. In 3 plays we scored, and someone told me that their coach said on the sideline, it's over. And how can a coach say it's over when they're still ahead by 14 points and going to receive the football? In 7 more plays, we were ahead. So he knew more than I knew.
Coach Wotton and his players have passed many a milestone on the way to their present record of more than 180 wins. After the scoreless tie to Trape, the Hawks lost 2 more games in 1967. In 1968, Wotton had his worst year at Marshwood, falling below 500 for the first and only time. That 3-5 season is one possible explanation for the misspelling of Wotton's name in the yearbook. In 1969, Marshwood walloped Trape in the last game, 69-6, thereby making a complete success of a 5-4 season. The following year, 1970, the Hawks improved to 6-3, and Wotton had his first honorable mention All-American player.
I don't know. I feel I was very fortunate. It was something new at the time. I had a pretty good year, I guess, my senior year, and somebody recognized it.
But you were recognized as a quarterback, and you weren't too keen about playing that position.
That goes back a long ways. I had an older brother that was a pretty good quarterback, and when I was younger, I was pretty stubborn, as I think Mr. Wotton will tell you that. He wanted me to be a quarterback, and I decided I wanted to be an end. And we went round and round. I ended up not playing my sophomore year. I came back as a halfback and my senior year, and then through injuries, I was forced into the quarterback position, which I ended up enjoying very much. I wish I had done it as a freshman, but that's when we were still in the Class B League. We played 6 conference games, which we won all 6, and we lost the 3 non-conference games. But 1971 was an interesting year. We were young. I think there was only 4 seniors on the club. I also think it was the first year that we really started noticing Wotton losing his hair. We had 2 games that one which was Noble that jumped out in front of us 14-0, and we came back, and I think we won it 17-14. That same year, Trape jumped out on us 16-0, and we came back and won that game 20-6. So towards the end of the season, we really started noticing that bald spot on Mr. Wotton's head.
Parmley, the reluctant quarterback, scored 1 touchdown and threw for 2 more to lead that comeback victory over Trape that captured the 1970 Southern York County League Championship. In 1971, Marshwood moved to Class C, and people point to the 1971 and 72 seasons as the beginning of the winning tradition at Marshwood. 2 9-0 seasons, 2 Class C championships. '73, though, was a step back to 7-2, with losses to Kennebunk and Trape. In 1974, revenge is mine, saith the Hawk, a 9-0 season and a 3rd share of a Class C championship. One little-known trait that separates a Hawk football player from players at other schools is a long memory. In 1973, Kennebunk broke a 2-season winning streak. Before the next year's game with the Rams, a poster of a goat's head boiling and stewed decorated the locker room. While it wasn't completely accurate, the symbolism was obvious.
The only thing that resembled a football game was 11 kids on each side of the field playing against it because the score was 48-0. And at the end of the game, the Kennebunk coach just tried to get his troops back on the bus and get them home in one piece. They got banged up severely, and it was just a mess. The kids were real psyched to play. They didn't like getting beat up the year before.
The next year, 1975, it was business as usual, 9-0 and Class C champs again. People began keeping track of the victories in 1976, 21, 22, 23. The Hawks won, but not without a few tough battles. The streak ended at 27. After beating Lakes Region for the 3rd league title in a row, Trape pulled a 24-0 upset in the season finale. In 1974, the freshmen had set a state record, crushing the Trape freshmen 86-0. In 1977, the freshmen were all grown up, and possibly the biggest and best Marshwood team ever, assembled under Coach Wotton. Their first game was Trape, the team that broke the streak the year before. It was a statistician's nightmare and a 3rd stringer's dream. The Purple Machine crushed the Blue and Gold 74-0. Wotton capped that season off with his 100th career victory against Noble. By 1978, the winning tradition at Marshwood was firmly in place. The win streak of 74, 75, and 76 established it, while the dominance of the 1977 team locked it in. And the program has met with continued success, so much so that not only are the Hawks expected to win, they're usually expected to win big.
Just a few weeks ago, Marshwood won but not by all that many points. I was asking Rod about it afterwards, and he says, damn it, we can't win 45-0 every week. That's not football. People expect it of us. But the fact is that that program has been so strong, and Wotton can take the credit for that, and thus he might take the blame when they don't win 35 and 40-0 like they have in the past.
Some of the biggest changes that have taken place in the Marshwood football program have taken place in Coach Wotton himself. He has never stopped studying the craft of coaching football. On the field and at off-season clinics, Wotton continues to learn new coaching techniques. Practice is safer, players are smarter.
We don't actually hit less. I think we hit as much, but we do it differently. We don't do it in 22 kids hitting. We do it one-on-one.
More than pit?
No, probably less than pit, but more in individual drills, especially the linemen. The linemen hit for about an hour a day, but they don't know it because we don't go right out and tell them they're hitting. They're hitting bags, they're hitting each other in one-on-one drills, and I think we're at a higher skill level. I think we do things better. We do things right more often. And then when the kid, like we still hit the sled, but I think come game time, we're really ready to hit. They're hungry to hit. Like last night, they couldn't wait to get the pit. And I think back when we used to have pit, people didn't like it as much. My objective is if we got 44 kids ready to play, we want 44 kids ready on Saturday, not 42. And we don't beat on them Saturday. We're ready to play football Saturday. And they can't wait to scrimmage Saturday. They're hungry to hit.
But Coach Wotton did not get to this point alone. Through the years, he has had the help of some talented assistant coaches. First Roy Whalen, and then the fiery Bucky Leonardi. Eventually, Wotton looked to former players like Gary Parmley, Buzzy Ferrelli, and Frank Leach. Hawk alumni Alan Robichaud and Tom O'Malley are joined by Butch Arthurs to make up the present crew. And as long as there has been football at Marshwood High, there has been the band. And the cheerleaders. And of course, the boosters. Without the football boosters, life as a Marshwood football player would be drab indeed. The banquet, the cookout, football jackets, trophies, training equipment, food at the games, all these plus 100 more extras that the players have come to expect come from the boosters, not all of whom are parents of players. Back before that first football season, the two towns appointed a committee to get the new high school built. Donald Pete Staples served his community back then. He continues to do so today. Members of this year's Boosters Club recognized his untiring efforts at this year's banquet.
Pete does a lot of work there. People don't know. And we really appreciate it. He does an outstanding job. Thank you, Pete.
Don't forget Saturday.
We began this story of Hawk football near the end. Let's end with new beginnings.
The last thing we have to announce is next year's tri-captains. They are Adam Cartmill, Larry Casimir, and Brendan Peterson.
The naming of the captains, a tradition that signals the end of one season and the beginning of the next. They will lead their teammates next year in defense of the Marshwood tradition, a tradition of dedication, high standards, and pride in one's school that is best demonstrated by success on the football field. As we look back over the last 2 decades, we can also look to the future, to the youngsters, some of them sons of Marshwood football players who look forward to the day when they too will share in the Marshwood Hawk tradition.
Some of those kids can't wait to play for the high school. They can't. You know, well, you look sad. You look at how many ex-players are on the sideline. We have to kick them off. And then who's next to them? The little kids coming up. So we got the guys gone by and the guys coming up that want to be there. That's great. No question about it. The guys that wore purple were the good guys. The guys that wore the other colors were the bad guys. And thank God we have that sense of pride. It's been great. It's a great feeling for me.
Burgers! Come on, get him over, we get burgers! Burgers!